Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal with NVIDIA stock price prediction. As I promised you guys that I'm gonna post a video that gives you a min-max price level for NVIDIA after the earnings. So I just did the math and I'm gonna go over the formula and the calculation with you, and this should help you make the right buy or sell decision after the earnings. Now, let's get started. In this table, as you see on your screen, I put together the summary of the financial data for NVIDIA for last about 10 to 12 quarters. And also, I have column M and column N that give the comparison year over year increase or decrease and quarter over quarter increase or decrease, right? For all of these financial items. For example, revenue in the last quarter, NVIDIA made 44.06, and that was year over year 69% increase and quarter over quarter 12% increase. Similarly, income year over year 26% up, but the quarter over quarter we saw the decline in the last quarter. And similarly for profit margin percentage, gross margin percentage, and EBITDA margin percentage, all of them were negative in the last quarter when compared with the prior quarter or compared with 1 year prior quarter. Okay, as you see on your screen. So, in terms of the margin percentage, the last quarter was not as good as it used to be in the past. And we all know the reason, that's a China business loss, right? But this quarter, they're expecting 72% gross margin. And that is about 15% increase from the prior quarter if that happens. And also revenue for this quarter, we're expecting 45 million, and that's also slightly up from 1 quarter prior. And other areas, they are doing comparatively better. For example, EPS quarter over quarter was negative, but year over year is still positive. Free cash flow per share going in the right direction. Debt to equity ratio went down, and that's a good sign. And now let's further dig into the EPS. So I created this table to compare last 12 quarters of the EPS projection versus the actuals. In the last quarter, you see that the actuals came 0.81 versus the projections was 0.93. And we know the reason, that's a China business loss in the last quarter. In next 4 quarters, they are projecting a very good EPS. So if we compare the next 4 quarters overall, percentage growth in the EPS is about 41%. And that's very healthy growth when we compare with the other AI stocks. So with that being said, we have enough data to calculate the forward PE and also do some math on the min-max price level. So I created this table. Okay, this table has last 30 days of NVIDIA closing price and also the EPS trailing 12 months and the EPS forward. And using those values, I calculated the P ratio with respect to trailing 12 months and the P ratio with respect to the forward EPS. So at this point, the forward P is at 40.73. So I have two more tables starting from line 31 through line 40. In here, I'm capturing the EPS actuals, closing price, and also the EPS projections for last 12 quarters. And the closing price that I captured was on the same day when the earnings was announced. So we can have the consistent comparison between quarter over quarter. So using these numbers, I calculated the forward P for last 12 quarters. And also I calculated the maximum of forward PE, that is 42.19, and that is against the maximum price NVIDIA touched in this quarter, that was around 185. So using those numbers, I calculated the median, min, average, and the maximum forward PE for NVIDIA for last 5 to 6 quarters. I'm using the most relevant data to calculate these numbers, and also the earnings surprise percentage for each quarter. I also captured in line 40, and also using those numbers, I calculated the mean, average, maximum, and the median earnings surprise for NVIDIA. Another table I have here, and that gives the earning projections for next 4 quarters. Okay, so using these data, I calculated the min max price range for NVIDIA, as you see here. Okay, so let me change it. It should be after. Okay, let's put it here after next earnings. So let me go over with you the formula. The minimum expected price I see here 117.41, and that comes from the EPS forward, that is H4, you see here. And then I have a second factor W33, and that should be the minimum value for the forward PE, and that is here 30.85. Okay, and the third factor here is the earning surprise, that is U40, the minimum earning surprise. So using those numbers, I calculate the minimum expected price for NVIDIA, and using the same formula, I calculated the average expected price for NVIDIA that's valid for after earnings. The only change in this formula is I'm using the average forward PE, and that is X33, you see here. Okay, and also the average percentage surprise as a third factor, that is W40, if you go down in this table. Okay, so let me show you this guy. So now the third one is maximum, same formula, except the fact I'm using the maximum forward P, that is Y33, and that is against the maximum value NVIDIA touched in this quarter. And the third factor I have is the maximum earning surprise in the last 12 quarters. So that gives me the maximum price NVIDIA can touch after the earnings is 199.13. When I say after the earnings, I mean this should be valid for next 3 months after the earnings. Okay. So in my opinion, NVIDIA may not go above 200 in next 3 months. And that is based on the current data. Situation might change in next few months. We never know, right? But as of this point, using the current available information, my maximum price target for Nvidia for next quarter is 199.13. I hope these numbers would help you in making a right transaction for Nvidia. And also, I posted this file onto my Patreon account. So if you are an exclusive member, you can access this file from there. I hope you like the video. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you more in the next video. Take care.